Oh. Sairam, we will start with recollecting what we discussed last week. Swami, we are in the second chapter of the Geetha Vahini, and Swami says that the first chapter and up to the 10th sloka of the second chapter, it's Arjuna Gita in the sense that it's all about Arjuna feeling bad. And because of his, Swami says, Kripa Vishtam, which is a false sense of compassion or pity. And Swami says a false sense of compassion gives rise to negative feelings of helplessness and sorrow, whereas good compassion will be closer to God, which will not disregard God's existence or God's words, and it will be giving us positive feelings and positive qualities. And then Swami goes on to say that Krishna diagnosed the problem as a spirit which has taken over Arjuna, and he was exorcising the spirit because he is the Vaidyo Narayana, and he is the ultimate doctor who was able to diagnose the problem in a minute. And he tries to exorcise, remove that spirit of evil spirit which has taken possession of Arjuna. And Swami says, Swami Krishna started with the principles of Sankhya Yoga. That's where we left off, if I remember correctly. I think we will continue from where we left off. Sairam, sisters.
Sairam, Krishna's immortality bestowing teaching begins from this 11th verse. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita starts from this point. Up to this point, it is the description of Arjuna's delusion born of ignorance and dullness of intellect. Krishna, acting the role of witness, allowed the despondency to deepen and darken. When at last Arjuna threw down his bow and refused to fight, when he confessed that he had lost all sense of right and wrong, when he prayed that Krishna should teach him the way that would best solve his problems, then Krishna came forward and said, Arjuna, how could this miserable state of cowardice overtake you now, when you have been clear and bright all along? This is quite unbecoming to the hero you are. The word Arjuna means pure, unblemished character. Why then this grief? The battle is imminent. The clouds of war have gathered and are thundering. The foes in front are awaiting the moment when they can jump into the fray. They have heaped countless injustices and cruelties on you, and now they are ready to grab the land that must come to you as of right. So far, you have borne all the agony that they have poured over you, without stirring even an iota away from truth. You have fulfilled all the conditions they imposed, and you have passed through the years they prescribed for your exile. Your attempts to effect a compromise were fertile, and you cannot avoid the clash of arms. We have yielded as such as we could. Now war is the only method by which the eyes of the evil-minded Duryodhana can be opened to his own iniquity.
Thank you very much, sister. I think we read this. Swami
Yes.
is giving the reasons why one has to take part in the war, and he's reminding Arjuna of the reasons for which they have come to battle, to the battlefield, to wage the war. So I will stop here. If anyone has something to say, please share your thoughts, please.
Sairam, one question that I kind of always had, and Swami says here, the land that should come to you as of right. I was just wondering, because Dhritarashtra is like the elder brother and the Kauravas are his children. And I know King Pandu had absconded the throne. So, I mean, do the Kauravas have as much right to the throne as the Pandavas do?
Okay, so I think so I will ask others to share their thoughts. A good question. Who has the right for the throne? I think that's the question. Does Duryodhana have, or does Dharmaraja and the Pandavas have? I think that's the question, Kalyani, you asking. What's the law? Okay, so I will open it up for discussion. Anyone has any thoughts which you have? Sairam, brother.
Sairam, actually, because the Dhritarashtra was the eldest, but he's blind. So that's why it goes to Pandus. But even though they grab like the wrong way, the Duryodhanas, but then they have the rights to get back, but they denied all the rights. They go for like even like they asked 5 villages, 5 houses, at least 5 houses. They denied, and then they decided to go to the war. So now that's what Lord Krishna encouraged Arjuna to have to go for the war to get your rights back. Sarah, this is my humble opinion.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much, brothers. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts? So I think if no one has something to say, yeah. I think Kalyan, your questions, I think Brother Vardhan has already nicely explained. If we go back to the story of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, usually the kings, they divide the kingdom and give their children different portions. That has been the practice. Because they are born as Kshatriya, so they have to be given a role to play. It is not that, this belongs to me. I think that's the way we understand. I am the rightful owner of this land. No, it does not work like that from what I understand. The job goes to somebody. Okay. So in the case of the Dhritarashtra, as Dhritarashtra was blind, so Pandu was a natural king, but he relinquished that also and left. And Dhritarashtra became a proxy king or whatever. Okay. When the children were growing up, Dhritarashtra always was worried about the Pandavas, because Pandavas also have a right to, and they wanted to be running it themselves without anyone else's interference. It's a kind of Swami says lobha is what they suffered from. That means they did not want to share. They wanted everything for themselves. It's a form of greed. It's a greed for power, greed for this or that. Okay. Ideally, a king should not feel that way. This is my right, in the sense the position is my right. I don't think that's what Swami says. So what happened was they were trying to get rid of them, and at some point, Dhritarashtra's, they felt that they had to give them a fair share, and they were given a kingdom, and they had Indraprastha, and they were doing very well there. And Duryodhana didn't like it. It was again jealousy which played a part. So they were called, and they had the game of dice, and Dharmaraja was influenced to give up everything. But then the story goes on and on. But then they were asked to go to the forest, and if they finish the Ajnata Vasa, which is the year in disguise, then they were supposed to get back what was lost. That was the arrangement. but they did not honor that arrangement. Okay, so that was it. And when they did not honor it, then as Brother Varadan said, they asked at least even 4 villages or 4 houses. And Duryodhana did not want to give anything. And I think that became the problem, because they were not even given a place to live, lead a normal life and do what they have to do. That was because of greed for power and position caused that problem. And so that's what, so which is not how a king should be. Okay, so I think that's what Swami is referring to. So I hope that's the main land which comes to you of right, means according to what was agreed, a contract, it has to come back, and that did not happen. That's my understanding. Okay, so it was a battle against greed for power. Anyone else has something to say? This is my understanding. And Swami has spoken about Lobha. Dhritarashtra means one who does not want to give up their position. The name Dhritarashtra itself means, Rashtra means kingdom. Dhrita means one who doesn't want to let it go. He's just grabbing that. That is why the name Dhritarashtra itself comes. Some of their names are not given names. Like Duryodhana apparently was named Suyodhana. No one will be given a name Duryodhana. But later on, people started calling them with Du because they were bad. So these are stories which, so many of these names are actually describing their qualities rather than the person themselves or their given names, from what I understand. Okay, Sai. I think if there are no questions, I think we can move on. The only one point I think which struck, I think Swami says the word Arjuna means pure unblemished character. So to some extent, Swami wants us to live up to our names. Arjuna was given the name. So I think that I thought was something which Swami wants us to know. What is your name? What does it mean? At least live up to that name. I think Swami is sort of trying to push us to think about that. I thought that's a nice thing to remind ourselves. Saira. We can move on. Saira.
This war was decided on after long deliberation. It was not a hasty resolution taken in a fit of anger. Responsible elders weighed the pros and cons and came to the conclusion that resort to arms was inevitable. You and your brothers approved all this and appreciated the decision. You have always been preparing for this battle with enthusiasm. In fact, you have been immersed in it more than others. How wrong is it for you now to turn back? This war did not pounce on you in a trice. You have been collecting the wherewithal for it for a long time. Remember how you struggled and starved and lived on roots and fruits of the forest in order to win the missile from Lord Shiva. How you went as far as the region of the Lord of Gods, Indra, in order to win celestial weapons for this battle. I thought of that the moment of destiny for the annihilation they deserved had come for the wicked Kaurava brood. But now you have started this morning dredge. Why this ominous note? Which scripture lays down this attitude? Think of your duty as a member of the warrior caste, to uphold dharma, to protect justice. Yours is the wealth of courage, adventure, and steadiness. But you are overpowered by the strange detachment, which is parenthetically out of place. This cowardice brings shame on you and even on your far-famed forefathers. Fie on you! You have dragged down the warrior race into disgrace. War is the royal rule for your kind, the road that leads to heaven. How can you escape infamy if you withdraw from this field now? You have earned the title Conqueror, Vijaya, by the prowess of your arm. Don't tarnish the reputation that you won by lifetime of effort. Give up this weakening delusion.
So Swami just further explaining the reason why he should fight, because he's a Kshatriya, and as a Kshatriya, there are certain roles which one has to play, and Krishna is pointing out that he was not doing so. So I will, that's just as a start, I will say that. I will open it up for any comments or discussions and thoughts from others, please. Saira.
Sairam, particularly one sentence that is in the very last paragraph, it caught my attention. War is the royal road for your kind, the road that leads to heaven. Of course, Arjuna is the Kshatriya Varna, and their profession, it's like in the safeguarding the citizens of the country by maybe if the war is necessary, then they have to do that kind of the war also part of their duty. If that is the case, my question, if the other varnas people, say for an example, if it is a farmers or any kind of brahmanas or farmers, or maybe the vaishyas, the business line of people. So for them, that is the royal road for them that would lead to heaven. If we take this statement as true for Arjuna, war is the royal road for his kind, that would lead to heaven. So this is also maybe my understanding in Tamil also, we call it the work is worship, or Seyyum Tolile Devam. So if that is the case, without doing anything else, if we sincerely and wholeheartedly, if we do our job, then that would lead to heaven.
Okay. Good question, sister. I will open it up for others to comment.
Mainly, Sairam, Krishna is teaching Swadharma, to follow Swadharma. Arjuna, belonging to the warrior tribe, his duty was to fight and protect his kingdom and his people. So also for any other caste, or here caste question comes, because everybody has to follow the Swadharma of their own caste. So if we follow our own dharma properly, I think for us also there is Swarga, there is heaven waiting for all of us. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else?
Hi, Ram. I guess Auntie Anandi, when you were just talking about that, I guess that brought to mind like the way Arjuna waged battle. Like Krishna was his charioteer, and he relied on Krishna for everything and followed his word without question. And yeah, so I think like that just brought to my mind that, oh, like when I'm doing my work, I should feel the same way, that it's Swami who's driving and who's taking care of everything, and not have that egoism that I'm doing anything. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents, I guess.
Thank you very much, Kalyani. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts?
So I also thought whatever the work it has been assigned to us by, maybe for Arjuna, it's kind of by his the Kotra and also as his Varna. So whatever the work assigned to us by God or Swami, so we have to take that as wholeheartedly without any hesitation, any job, any kind of service. I believe it has come into other chapters too. Whatever the work assigned to us, we have to happily, the wholeheartedly we have to do. That will lead us to heaven. It doesn't matter, big job or small job, whatever the work assigned to us, if we do wholeheartedly, it would lead us to the same results as the other people. That's what I also learned from here. Sometimes we always they tend to think that maybe other person, it's a good job. For me it's like the maybe not that good job, or the maybe lower great kind of job. So whatever the job it has been given to us, if we do that job wholeheartedly, that would make us happy and lead us to heaven.
Sai Ram, I just also remembered, I think from Sunday in Mahadini, where Swami was saying how the Pandavas and the Kauravas are within us, and our body is like this Astinapura. So I think this whole slide, we can kind of read almost like a metaphor, where Swami is saying you have been collecting the wherewithal for a long time. Like if we think about it as our own internal struggle, like from over good against evil, and like we've been going through so many births preparing for this battle, I guess. And yeah, I just thought of that as well when you were talking about this.
Thank you, Kalyani. Thank you.
Constantly this struggle is going on inside us between our evil qualities and good qualities. So it is Kurukshetra inside where we are fighting against the bad elements, and it's going on, and we should try to replace those evil qualities as far as possible by good things. That's what I feel. Saira.
Thank you, Ant.
Brother Sai Ram, in the third paragraph, the last sentence, but you are overpowered by this strange detachment, which is pathetically out of place. Which detachment Swami is talking about, please? I can understand the previous paragraph, but this attachment, detachment about not fighting, or what is actually is referred by here, please? Thank you, Sai Ram.
Okay, good questions. Anyway, good question, sister. But I thought I will just, I was thinking of what Sister Ananthi said, and others have already shared their thoughts. But I think one of the things which we had noticed, Swami is Krishna is talking about heaven, Swargam. He's not talking about reaching him, okay, at this point in time. Because if you ask where is heaven, that's another question. Is it some other geographical place where we go and live? Swami has said that heaven itself is in our own heart. If we are happy and contented, that itself is heaven. So the heaven is actually, if we do anything which we do well, if we have done it so well, that I think it will give us joy in this world. I think that also I thought I will do. And I think as Sister Anand said, contentment itself is heaven. Swami would say. So wherever we are placed by God, I think if we do that well, it will be nice. And as Sisters Aruna has asked about the detachment, he's saying this strange detachment, because Krishna, after all, Arjuna is behaving as if he's renounced the world. I don't want to engage in anything. He's giving up something, and he may be thinking in his own mind, I have become so detached. Vairagyam has come. I am very spiritual. Things like that. And then Krishna is saying, no, this detachment is pathetically out of place and it's strange. because for the wrong reason and for the wrong attitude. I think that's what Krishna is telling. Because sometimes we have a sense of detachment from many things in life, but for the wrong reason, with the wrong, I think, wrong ideas, I would say. And I think that's what Krishna is pointing out. Where courage is needed, you are being detached. Where detachment is needed, you are not showing courage. That's the way he's, each situation demands certain response. And I think that's what Krishna is referring to in my view. But I will ask others if they see something else to share. Thank you.
Exactly the same thing, like at this point, and he doesn't want anything, like because of he doesn't want to kill his gurus or his cousins and those kind of things. At that point, that is a detachment for the point he's standing up. He give up everything. That's what Lord Krishna encouraged him to. When you have this detachment all of a sudden, because you are the warrior and you need to fight, but all of a sudden you don't like anything, you just gave up everything. That's kind of detachment. That's what I think he indicated that one, Sarah. That's my opinion, Sarah.
Thank you very much, brother.
This vairagyam sometimes is misplaced. When the war is going to take place, he wants to take up the sannyasa's role and then he wants to give up all his arms. He wants to go away. That's not the correct thing. And you might have come across this word, smashana vairagyam. When somebody dies, you go to the smashanam, and then, when the body is cremated, you feel, oh, what is this? This life is nothing, but one day it will go. And the next moment when you come back home, you will start all your attachments. So that is called smashana vairagyam. So here he has got a yuddha vairagyam, or whatever it is. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
So,
I think Sister Anita also has mentioned something. She's telling the attachment, Arjuna has this family linkage attachment, that he's attacking his cousins, and that's the cause of his detachment. So the attachment itself, it's the cause of that detachment. Okay, thank you very much.
It's like every day we have that issue every single day. You think of kids and you want to be detached, and then you come back to the same thing. Like I cannot shake it. How could you? And it's that relationship you have. It's very, very testing. We do have Kurukshetra every minute, if not every day. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, sister.
Mm-hmm.
And also another reason for Lord Krishna says is the strange detachment, because Arjuna was the one, he had been preparing for a long time for this battle. And maybe the very first paragraph, it describes that part too, because he did the really hard penance to get all the astras, Brahmastra, Nagastra, and all kind of the astras. He really put his time and effort to get those astras to win this war. Suddenly he says that this is not right. This is this is different. This I don't want to have that. That's why Lord Krishna says this is really a strange detachment. You have been awaiting for a long time to have this, to win this battle. Suddenly, if you say everything upside down, this is strange, That's sort of the understanding I got it from the very first paragraph. It nicely explains.
Sai Ram. So does that mean that we should not get detachment or vairagya through like feeling frustrated or feeling like negative about a situation? Or is that what it means? Like, how should we cultivate vairagya then? Because I thought sometimes when you are in the world and you experience the world, then you realize, oh, this is not everything, or you're disappointed, or you encounter difficulties, and then you are like, okay, I don't need this anymore. And then you have some detachment towards that thing or object or relationship. But it seems like that may be the wrong way to get detachment. So I guess, how do you get detachment?
Okay, good.
Because we had to define this strange detachment, because strange detachment has an attachment beside against to it. That's the way it's not a real detachment. I think attachment is causing the detachment, then that's not a real detachment. That's how I see it from Arjuna's. It's not like his like and dislike is attached to it. So it's a real detachment. Now we have to understand what is a real detachment. Then only this is strange detachment. I think something is, there is a pain behind of it or anything behind of it. It's not a detachment, I think. That's what maybe that's how I am looking at it. Thanks.
But I really love Sister Kalyani's question. Practically, forget about the Arjuna's in the situation and everything. We say the Arjuna resembles us, and it could come to our situation too. I really wanted to have something, but if I pursue that sort of the ambition or goal, I have to really sacrifice so many things, and I have to lose my family relationship, and I have to really come up with so many maybe negative things. Still, I have to pursue whatever I have had in my mind to get that one, with all kind of detachment. In this case, I understand how the Sister Arunas came up with that point, because Arjuna, because he doesn't want to kill his siblings or his cousins or his maybe grandparents or elders. That's why it's a kind of attachment. It turns into strange detachment. But in the practical day-to-day, the ordinary people's life, we have really strived for something, in our life. But at the end, when we think it, it's really, we are going to lose so many things, including our family relationship and everything. Still, I have to be really stubborn about my goal or objective. That is my little question.
So, I think that every situation, our daily life, we have to discriminate. We have to discriminate the thing, what is right and what is wrong. And then we may have to go like with the decision on firm. Something we do the right thing, and then we have to go with it. But then like some of the other things come across. That's how you have to discriminate things. It is the right thing. Okay, you just go for, you wanted to be a soldier, you go for fight for your country or anything, and your mother crying. No, at that point, of course, that is your mother, but you are there for the sake the country. That is your duty first. That's our daily lives, and whenever we pursuing something, but like we need to discriminate each and every time there's a different situation. Like we have to discriminate the thing, and then we make the decision. And that's my humble opinion, Sarah.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else has something to say? It's a very good question from Kalyani about. So how do we, how do we develop vairagi? Is it not because of a distaste for something in the world? So would that also become a false detachment? I think that's a question. Anyone has some thoughts? If no one is willing, then maybe I will say what comes to my mind. See, in the case of any detachment, the mind is such that it cannot live without any attachment. Mind has to attach itself to something. I think that's the number one thing in this world. Detachment will not come because the mind needs something to stick to. And in the case of Arjuna, the mind was detached from the war only because it was stuck with the relations and whoever he thought are his people. So the mind actually, there is, at any point in time, there's always attachment and detachment which go hand in hand. Because if a mind, when the mind is detached from something, it is definitely attached to something else. Then it's a matter of us figuring out what is it now attached to. That will tell us whether the attachment is a good attachment or not. So in the case of Arjuna, Krishna right away diagnosed the problem. Though he's talking about as if he's a detached person, actually he was attached. And he is not seeing his attachment, and he is feeling good about his detachment. This happens to everyone. So I think my view is, whenever you attach yourself to God, and if there is detachment which comes out as a result of that, that attachment is a good attachment, a good detachment. That detachment from world which it arises out of our attachment to God. Always attachment comes when you are attached. Detachment comes only when you are attached to something else. When the mind is functioning, that's the way most of us are. So I think once you attach yourself to God, as a result of there are other detachments, then those detachments are good. Then we will find the world is not as, we don't hate the world, but we don't find it as good as having the attachment to God. That is my understanding, because there's no one in this world with mind can be in a state of completely detached from everything, because the mind needs to rest on something. So that's my thinking. So I thought I will share that. Because usually, if something is not achieved, we'll say it's sour grapes type of syndrome. When you can't reach something, they'll say these grapes are sour. That kind of detachment is also not good. So I thought I will just share those thoughts. Sai. Anyone else would like to share?
Sairam, as you said, Arun, the higher goal, when we attach ourselves to the higher goal, automatically our attachment to the lower things will fade away. So naturally detachment will come. So we proceed further on to that higher goal, so that we can slowly detach ourselves from our commitments to the worldly things. I feel this is the thing. Saira.
Sai Ram, this is Aku Auntie. Thanks to Arun and thanks to Bhashyam Auntie, because it's clearly stated, if your attachment for higher level, then your detachment will automatically, it will come, and it will be, you will understand why that detachment is making you get more attached to God. Thanks, Sai Ram.
Sairam, this is Almelu. It's a very beautiful discussion. Just I wanted to add something here. To be more involved in the action than thinking about the result, to enjoy the process. That's what I'm thinking when we have this question in our mind. I'm just wanting to ask Brother Arun, like this is to be more absorbed in the action, what we are assigned to, than thinking about what's going to happen. Is it right way to understand that? I'm not sure, just I wanted to ask that question. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister. So Sister Alameli is asking about, is it the detachment to the fruits of actions? We are not going after the fruits, but doing what we have to do well. Is that referred here? Is, I think, the question I think Sister asked. Sister, did I understand your question right, sister?
Yes, brother, because and if sometimes you detach yourself and you're thinking about that, right? And your mind energy is completely absorbed in that, it puts you down, then it allows you to rise up, right? So it's better to get completely involved in the process of whatever, if a small thing of lighting a lamp. I'm just trying to say, because then it should not be burden on me. I want to do it wholeheartedly, right? So yes, that's, you understood correctly, brother. Thank you.
You very much, sister. I think, sister, you have gone on to a couple of chapters ahead, but I think what you are saying is right, because Swami is elaborating, fixing this problem of detachment and attachment, and what's the right kind of attachment and what's the right kind of detachment. I think you have already touched upon. Discarding the fruits of action, you just focus on the action. That is, I think, it's a solution to this problem which we all face. And that's the right state of mind, I think, which Swami will want us to get to. And I think Swami will, through the Geetha Vahini, I think Swami will take us there. So now he has identified the problem. You have already sort of identified the solution with the attachment or the focus on the action. And even the detachment, offering of the fruits, I think Swami says you give it up. Then he says you offer it to God, so that's also another process which Swami is. I think there are multiple ways of solving the problem. Thanks for sharing. Yes, I think you're saying what should be the
Thank you
right
so
attitude.
much. Just to be, just for my own sake, it was not for, like, all of us understand very differently, but just to understand about the detachment, because there's always a mind which contradicts within you. It always gives constant advice. This is right, that is right. So sometimes to not lose your energy in all those things, to just completely involve in the process. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I think there is about 5-6 solutions Krishna is offering. And one of the solutions for this problem is what you have said. I think Swami is dealing with it, I think, in subsequent chapters. Thank you very much, sister.
So, brother, so Krishna says the strange detachment on this particular thing is anything to be like a come from the attachment, and detaching yourself is not detachment. So anything towards God's, you have detaching yourself is the real detachment. Okay, thank you.
From a worldly, we are actually, ultimately, we are detaching from the world. That's the whole idea, sister. That's what I understand.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, if no one has anything to say, one sentence caught my attention. It was as if Krishna was almost getting disappointed. If you read the third paragraph, the first sentence, he says, I thought that the moment of destiny for annihilation they deserved has come for the wicked Kaurava brood, but now you have started this morning dirge. It was as if Krishna wanted this to happen, and now Arjuna becomes the problem. Krishna was hoping that this Kaurava problem will be solved, and so I found that a bit intriguing. So I thought I'll just point out. And so Krishna is sort of letting us know that he wanted it to happen in a certain way, and it's happening. And sometimes people, Arjuna should not be a problem, and so he fixes that problem. In that way, he sort of shows that he's the Sutradhari. He's the one directing the whole play. So I thought I found that a nice reminder of what Krishna's role was. Okay, so I think let's move on to the next slide, sisters, if it's okay.
Listen to me. Remind yourself of what happened at Amaravati. You disregarded the approaches of the divine damsel Urvashi, and when she wanted a son through your grace, you replied, "Take me as your son." That revealed you as an incomparable hero. The curse she put on you in her discomfiture helped you at the court of the Virakta king to pass off as a eunuch, teaching dance to the royal princesses, didn't it? Where has the heroism gone? Tell me, How has this cowardice come over such a stalwart? You came to me and disturbed me in sleep with your request to help in this battle, from which you are now running away. Am I to help you thus? Have I to watch while you are fleeing? Pluck this delusion by the root. Reduce this fear to ashes. Become a hero again. Thus exhorted Krishna. Krishna used 4 words in this context: faint-heartedness,
Kasmala.
kasmala, ignorable nature, and arya justam, the quality that destroys the divine in human, aswargyam, and the quality that causes the decline of the fame that is lasting, kirtikaram. These inspiring words, which would make the blood of any warrior boil, had a tremendous effect on Arjuna. The thick cloud of ignorance that had overwhelmed Krishna started to melt a little. The dullness, tamas, that has made him forget the truth was removed. Passion, Rajoguna returned, and Arjuna found words to ask how. That term reveals much. It shows that Gita expounds not merely on what has to be done, but even on how it has to be done.
Thank you very much, sister. So Swami is now taking us into, how he's waking up Arjuna from his tamas into the Rajas state. First, he has to get him to that point before he can teach him anything further. So he is appealing to his Kshatriya blood so that it boils, and so he has used the 4 words which Swami again and again repeats: Kasmalam, Anarya Jushtam, Aswargiyam, and Akirtikaram, which will make any Kshatriya blood boil. So Swami Krishna apparently used them to wake him up. So that's what I understand. So I will open it up for any discussion, any thoughts anyone has to share. Saira.
Saira Marun, in Telugu, Swami says,
Yes, Auntie.
Anarya Justam Andulo Kashmalamuga Agnatam. Agnatam means the ignorance.
Ignorance.
Anarya Justam Anaga Ishvara Swabhava Sukahani. What is that, Ishvara? Ishvara Swabhava Sukahani.
So I think Arya, I think Swami, there are discourses where he's talking about Arya. What is Arya? And Ishvara Sukha is Arya. Means one who takes divine qualities.
Oh, ignoble. And then Asvargamanaga Adi Daivaka Sukhamani. Sukahani. Asvargam.
Yes. Because Daivika means anything which is of resplendent nature, which shines forth, which is, which is positive, which will shed light around, spread light around. I think that's why Advaivika Swami has used the word.
Adidaivaka Sukahani.
I think they have not translated that here.
Yeah. Akirtikaramanaga Bhautika Sukahani. So I think this
Bhautika, Adidavika, Adhyatmika, that's the way Swami is talking,
That is all right. But here, Ishvara Swabhava Sukahani is Anarya.
Yes.
Asvargam is Adidaivaka Sukahani. Akirti means Bhautika, Adibhautika Sukahani.
Yes. So one is at the gross level, one is at the subtle level, one is at the causal level, is what I understand. And the faint-heartedness is the one which is causing all this. Kashmala.
Kashmala may be at the level of the Bhautika. Kashmala is a ignorance here, Swami is saying.
Ignorance. So it is it is that who we are not, you don't know.
That is it. That is Anaryam. Anaryam means you are forgetting that you Sorry.
You are divine.
First is Kashmalamani.
Kashmalam. That means you don't know that you are Atman. You know, you're complete ignorance.
Yeah.
Then you don't know that you are Atman.
You are divine. You know, you don't know you are divine.
First
And
one, you don't know that you are divine. The second one, your mind is polluted in the sense, you know, that's Swami Adi Daivikam, Swami says, no?
No, the second Anaryam, and Swami is saying Anaryam means Ishvara Swabhava Sukhahani. That means you are forgetting you are a divine.
Yes.
Anaryam.
Yes. That's at the causal level.
And Asvargam means here Adi Daivaka.
Yes, Adi Daivika.
So that means you're not thinking about your future. Swarga. Swarga means the heaven.
Yes.
Heavenly
But
things you are not.
that's what Swami says, the heaven is in our mind, you know.
Yeah.
That is at the mental
level.
Mental level. Our good qualities are all vanished. Then Akirtikara means people will know, you know, who you are. Akirti, that's at the body level. So and so, you know, that is Adi Bhautika, Swami says.
So Akirti is at the body level. Asvargam means at the mental level. And Anaryam is at the Daivika level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brother, if you don't mind, can you tell the story of Amarapati, please?
Story of?
Sister Aruna wants to know the story of Urvashi and Arjuna.
Yeah.
So anyone wants to say tell the story?
Then we can relate that paragraph. Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
In brief, I will try to tell you.
Okay, Andy, please go ahead.
See, when the Agnatavasa, you remember, Aruna, that they had to go for 12 years of Vanavasa,
yes.
and then 1 year of Agnatavasa. That 1 more year, they had to live incognito, not recognized by anyone. So during that year, he had to, Arjuna's powers and Arjuna's physique, nobody can ignore him. So what he does is, when he goes to the Indraloka, Urvashi comes forward and says that you get married to me, looking at his handsome beauty. So he says, no, I cannot marry you. So she gets very upset, and then she gives a curse saying that you're going to be an impotent fellow in your future. So that, you know, that varam, that boon, which he takes it as a boon, that curse as a boon, and he uses that when he lives. Oh, sorry. Please continue. I've got a...
Okay. So I will continue the story. So what happened during the life in the jungle, you know, they had to live in the forest for some time, okay, 12 years. During that time, they were starting to plan for the war also. So Arjuna had to go away. That's another side story. So he had to go away for some reason. So when he goes up to Indraloka, because Indra is his father. Okay. So he goes to Indraloka and in search of help and, you know, weapons and things like that. So what happens was, because he was so handsome, Urvasi is one of the Apsaras. Apsaras 3, you know, Urvasi, Ramba, you know, they are the most beautiful women in the Indraloka. So she, you know, so they are considered the spouses of Indra. So Urvasi sees this fellow is so handsome, he says, I want to marry you. And at that point in time, you know, Arjuna himself is quite notorious for getting married to anyone and everyone. So people have a bad reputation. He was, Balarama is supposed to have thought like that. So Arjuna, but he has the discrimination and he says, look here, I have to treat you like your mother, like my mother, because you are Indra's, you belong to Indra. So I have to treat you like mother, and so you take me as your son. So the thing is, Urvashi comes and says, she doesn't want to say, I want to marry. She says, I want a son through you. Then he says, no, you want a son, you think that I am the son. So she gets really upset and she says, you are not behaving like a man, so you will lose your manliness. So that curse was cast on him. And he said, it's okay. I will lose my manliness. So what happened when he was in Ajnatavasa, as Auntie said, he took upon that curse on himself because he did not want anyone to recognize that he was Arjuna. So it actually helped him in that process. So he was teaching dance to Brihan Nala when he was there. Okay, so that's the story. So what Krishna is telling is, you have that kind of discrimination. You have you are a hero. You can even withstand your own senses and the mind. You have control over all that. So you have a control over your senses. You have a control over your mind. You have already proven that you are capable of that. At the same time, you have exhibited great discrimination. So a person like you, what has happened to you? That is the question Krishna is asking Arjuna. All that he lost because of his attachment to whoever he thought belonged to him. So that is the story and the context, sister. I hope that clarifies.
What is the meaning of Amaravati here?
Amaravati is where Indra Loka is Amaravati.
Okay.
Amara means devas.
Okay.
People who don't die.
Who don't die, Amara. No Maranam.
So what happened at Amaravati? But he okay.
So the Amaravati is
what
where
that story now tells what is his reminding with that story to him?
So
the discrimination thing?
No, Krishna is telling you are capable of such discrimination, such control, such everything. That itself requires a lot of heroism, means courage and ability.
So what he has explained.
Yes. So he says, what happens to you now? Now you are so weak and you are unable to think clearly. Why?
Okay.
That's what he said. Okay.
Thank you.
Was that curse like forever, or was it time limited?
What is it? That curse?
No, yeah, was it for a specific time or something?
So what happens in curses, as soon as somebody curses, then you say, okay, can I limit the curse? And, then you negotiate something. And then you say, I will experience it for a particular period of time. Then you are given some leeway. Somebody will, intercede on your behalf. So that's what happens normally with curses. So nothing is forever. Yes, Auntie?
He used that curse only for 1 year to become Brahmanala.
So he used it wisely. So Krishna is asking to use it now. Think wisely. Okay, thanks.
It's called blessings in disguise. Sometimes problems can be a great blessing.
Yeah.
So cursing also, we have to take it.
Yes, everything is good. If others curse us, we have to take it. With open hand, you should take it because your karma will go down.
Sai Ram, Arjuna was dressing like a woman when he was in Brother King's courtyard, right?
Yes, correct.
Is this because of this curse?
Yes.
He partially became a woman. He lost his manliness.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
In Mahabharata and Ramana story, lot of curses you can see there, lots of them, but they overcome everybody.
So, brother, how come the curse lasted only for a year? So you can't just overcome. Was it only for a short time?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh. So I think it was negotiated.
Okay. If somebody curses you, you can negotiate. Okay.
Yeah, so you can appeal to their best sense and they will give you a... See, it's many curses you will know, like when the Jaya Vijaya were cursed by those 4 rishis, then Vishnu itself, okay, can we, fix, reduce it? Then they were given 2 choices. Okay, you either take 100 births or 1,000 births as good devotees and come back, or you want to take 3 births as
enemies.
Yeah, the solution to, yeah.
So they always choose something, you know. God helps us out. So I think Arjuna was.
But in our real world, we don't get the curse to negotiate, right? We have to.
Thank
No,
you,
you
sister, for
no,
explaining
you
that. Yeah, it really helps. We can negotiate it.
No,
More
it
like
can
in
be.
Kali Yuga, you can't negotiate.
No, you can always negotiate. It's just that you had to appeal to the right authorities.
True, true. Sai Ram, thank you.
Okay. So if everyone is okay, maybe we will go to the next slide.
Sairam, brother, shall we read one by one paragraph, please?
Yes, I was going to ask.
Before, here also we missed a
So,
lot. We
okay,
are
then
fasting.
okay, we'll rewind. So we'll go through each paragraph. Okay, the first paragraph is everyone fine. I think we have covered that.
Yeah.
The second paragraph also, it's a continuation from the previous one. It says, pluck out all your, this lack of heroism. Does anyone has anything to say? Then the third one, I think, Auntie and I was discussing these 4 qualities Swami is talking about. Kashmalam is complete ignorance, as in the Telugu version Swami is saying. Then Anarya Jushtam, Swami is saying that you are Ishvara, that it becomes that you are divine. That knowledge is lost. Hani means danger, Auntie?
lack of things.
Lack of things.
Lack of.
Then
Hani can be Swabhava Sukha Hani.
Danger or I don't know.
A danger cannot be. Hani is something which you lose.
You lose. Okay.
Yeah, you lose. Yeah.
So you have lost your Ishvara state, or you are that divine. Okay.
Divine.
Then Swami says Aswargiya means you were like God-like quality, means like the Devas, which means divine, our attributes, that we can say our 5 human values, whatever you want to call it. They are missing. Okay, that is Aswargiyam. Means you are not fit for Swarga. Okay.
Yeah.
You have given up Swarga itself. Then the last one is Akirtikara, means which relates to Bhautika, means in this worldly sense. Akirti is what people, your name and fame in this world.
Fame. You will lose your name and fame.
Name and fame is lost. And that is at the worldly level. So at all levels, at the gross level, subtle level, at the causal level, you are weak. And Krishna is attacking each of those qualities that Arjuna has lost. I think if you remember in the previous, I think last week we discussed, that ignorance has gone into all the 3 bodies or something like that.
Yeah, we were discussing about
We were discussing. Swami is basically repeating and describing in the other words. He is giving it some qualifications. That is the third paragraph, sister. If anyone has something.
So,
and in India, it's a very common thing. They will say Kasmalam, they will scold somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So these 4 words bring the that they are like it will boil their blood. That's to make them understand, right?
Yes.
So 4 words is okay, Kasmalam, and the other ignorable nature, that is divine nature. Third one is human qualities. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And the 4th one of name and fame. Okay. Thank you.
So he's telling you, whatever you're doing is going to cause all this. And that's you're useless. That's all he's telling. So then Swami says, blood will boil. That's one. And he says from tamas he has to wake up to rajas. And then Swami is also telling, Gita not only tells us what we should do, it also explains us how we should do. Katham. You know, that's, I think that's a word.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did that mean, brother? The last sentence now, it shows that Gita expounds not merely on what has to be done, but even on how it has to be done. Why? Okay, now these four things will wake him up from tamas to rajas. Okay, Arjuna found were to ask how that terms reveal much. What is that Swami is trying to tell there?
Yeah. In Telugu.
Yes, Auntie.
Telugu's translation, let me read it and then you can translate it later on. దీనిని సూక్ష్మంగా యోచించిన ఈ పదం యొక్క లక్ష్యము చక్కని గుట్టును తెలుపుచున్నది. ఇట్ ఈస్ గివింగ్ ఎ వెరీ గ్రేట్ సీక్రెట్ స్వామి సేయింగ్. అది ఏమనగా భగవద్గీత ఏమి చేయవలనో అను విషయము కాక ఎట్లు చేయవలనో అనున్నది తెలుపుచున్నది. వాట్ ఈస్ టు బి డన్, హౌ ఈస్ టు బి డన్, హౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ టు బి డన్. భగవద్గీత ఇస్ టెల్లింగ్ us. అనగా ఏ విధంగా అని తలంచవలెను, దీనిని బాగుగా గ్రహించవలెను, ముఖ్యముగా గమనించవలెను. అంతటితో ఉండక అర్జునుడు తిరిగి కృష్ణ పరమాత్మను చూసి మధుసూదన నా మాట ఆలకింపు అని మరియు he starts again.
Yeah, so I think that's in the next
is that. But anyway, Bhagavad Gita is telling not only what to do and how to do, how to follow the instruction given in the Bhagavad Gita. Swami Krishna is saying. That's the word in Sanskrit is called katham. Katham means how.
Yeah, expounds not merely what to be done, even how done. So now, with these four things, the Gita has explained what Krishna has to be done.
No.
Now he's going to explain how to be done.
How to do. Yeah, he will explain later.
Okay. Thank you.
These are the four words which he uses for Arjuna's. Faint-heartedness and all those things are only for Arjuna. Why are you behaving like this? He is asking him in very strong language. Kashmalam, anarjushtam, aswagyam, akirtikaram. So Arjuna's actions are just condemned by Lord Krishna.
Sairam Auntie, the one little clarification. I understand that Kasmalam is the complete ignorance. Then why we have used the faint-heartedness? Is there any connection between the complete ignorance and the faint-heartedness? Where the heart comes into here?
Your ignorance has completely overtaken the real divine nature of yours. And you have become faint-hearted. Here, heart means natural, I mean, the organ heart is not the meaning. I think, Arun, can you just explain further?
I understand it's not the actual heart or something, but I thought the complete ignorance, that makes sense, for the Kasmalam. Yeah, but the actual translation here, it's a faint-heartedness. When I look at that one, I thought maybe some sort of
in Telugu, Swami's this thing doesn't say that. Kashmala managa agnatam. Swami says it is not faint-heartedness. It is translated in a, I think it is not the proper translation. Kashmala managa agnatam.
Ignorance, not knowing.
Not knowing. That's all. Here, faint-heartedness question doesn't come here.
My second thing, if in here the next paragraph, if it says what to do and how to do, then Bhagavad Gita is the manual for a human being how to live in. Because whenever we whenever we make a product, we always would give a manual So this would be, it's kind of what to do, how to do. Normally we will call in the language of, it's a manual. Whenever we buy a product, we always look at what to do, how to do, or what will be the what kind of things this product will do. So that's why we always tell it's Bhagavad Gita is the manual for a human, because maybe human may not know what to do, how to do. So this is considered to be a manual for a human being, how to live in this world. Maybe now it makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a manual.
Yeah.
It's a handbook. You can
handbook.
It's a handbook.
Handbook, yeah.
Handbook to refer to.
Because Arjuna he's not only asking what he wants, he's asking how also. So the credit goes to Arjuna that he made it manual.
Available for all of us in the end.
Yeah, I think that's really that's why half of the credits in the first chapter, it goes to Arjuna. Because of his wise question, Krishna further elaborated and bring out all kind of clarifications. If there is no such good question, maybe Lord Krishna would have thought, oh, everything is understandable, so I don't need to explain. Maybe for him, he knows everything. That's why he may not think about it's not easily understandable by all human beings.
Because he was a good student, and in the sense he asked the best questions. I think Swami has explained in a couple of discourses why Arjuna was chosen.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that he knew how to ask the right questions, which will be beneficial for everyone. So Swami said that.
Sairam, uncle, just to go back to that word kasmalam, like, does that whole word just mean ignorance in Sanskrit, or does it have another?
See, kashmalam means something which is impure. Okay, kashmalam has anything which is dirty is also called kashmalam.
Kashmalam.
Okay, so the thing is, the original dirt is not knowing who we are.
Oh, okay.
Ahamkaram is the original dirt. Okay, see, that is the explanation Swami is giving. Says Ajnata.
Avidya. Avidya you can call.
Avidya. Okay, not knowing that you are divine. Not knowing who you are. But the word Kashmalam also means anyone who doesn't know anything also is called Kashmalam, who is ignorant. And the word Kashmalam has come to mean many things in today's world in common usage. One of the usage is faint-heartedness. If somebody is scared also, they are called you are Kashmalam. Somebody who doesn't know also, they will say you are Kashmalam. Okay. Someone who is dirty also, they will say you are Kashmalam.
No, even for a bad person, they call you are Kashmalam.
Yeah, in Tamil movies, sometimes they use this language a lot. That's why I thought whether this is a Sanskrit word or it's a Tamil word. Yeah.
Kashmalam is a Sanskrit word, but it is used as Kashmalam in Tamil.
Okay, so it has multiple meanings, but Swami has explained in the Telugu writing that it relates to Ajnatam.
Ajnatam. Ajnanam.
It's not knowing. Jnata is to know, means not knowing. So that's what Swami has used. So Swami has basically used, first one is Ahankara, or that original ignorance. That makes us forget that we are Ishvara. Ishvara Tattvam is in us. Swami says our heart is where the Ishvara is. Then the mind is where all the good qualities come. That is also missing. Then because of that, people will think bad of you. So, all these three is covered. Swami is using these 4 words as the ultimate problem in each of our body. And if you fix all of that, we will The way Swami writes, that itself is Gita, you know. It is.
Mm.
I don't think you will find it in any of the commentaries by some of the greatest minds. You know, Swami, the way Swami has explained, Swami has every level Swami has identified. Our physical, gross, mental, subtle, causal body, and the divine body also. You know, that's the ignorance. We don't know. The ahamkara is the beyond that. So Swami, that's right. Okay. So it's 4:15. I don't know whether we all want to just read the next slide and then take a break, or maybe we should do that.
Yes.
Okay, we just read it. We can continue where, you know, we can contemplate on it for the week and come back.
Saram, should I just go paragraph by paragraph?
Yes, go paragraph by
Yeah.
paragraph. Then just first paragraph you can read, sister.
Sure.
Thank you.
Arjuna asks Krishna, O Madhusudana, listen to my words. Those who are in the forefront of the battle line are all worthy of worship. The great Bhishma took care of us when we lost our father, brought us up from childhood, and shaped us into what we are. He's a father to us, the grand old man of our clan. And what shall I say of Drona? He loved me more than he loved his own son, Aswathama. I had all his love. He's the guru through through that love took me as his favorite disciple and made me into the bowman that I am. Do you want me now to use the skill he taught me to overthrow him? Is it right for a son of India to do such a thing? In battle, we have to kill our enemies, don't we? Or can we fight with fathers and teachers who deserve reverence?
So a very good paragraph. Maybe we can discuss. If anyone wants to say something, you know, so there are people who have done a lot of good to us. What to do? Can we oppose them? What are the situations when we can oppose? I think those are questions which will come up. So Arjuna is asking that question. So,
And brother, that those who are in forefront of the battle line, that we have to identify. Just my thought in reading that. Thank you, Saira.
yeah, so he has the forefront. He has listed a few.
Yes. What is in front of us?
Yeah, fathers and teachers.
But the interesting thing is Arjuna uses many names for Krishna.
Madhusudana.
He has used the word Madhusudana. The meaning of Madhusudana means one who has killed Madhu. The demon Madhu has been killed by Krishna. So Madhu and Kaitapa were two Rakshasas. So Madhu has been killed by Krishna. So that which is sweet, you know, Madhu also means that which is sweet. The senses find it very pleasing. He kills that also. So the question itself has the answer. Krishna says, Arjuna is asking the question, Madhusudana, you could have called him by any other name. And he says, there are 3-4 people standing and fighting. So what to do?
Okay.
Sairam, it's not really the very subject matter, and I also thought about in my mind, it's just for little in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Krishna Arjuna, in the Brother Aruno has already indicated, in different contexts or different chapters, they call the Partha Madhava, Arjuna Madhusudana, and in different chapters, they call different ways of the Krishna and Arjuna. Even throughout Bhagavad Gita, they would have used only one set of names, but maybe according to the chapter or something, they changed the name. Even Arjuna, Vijaya, Kandiba, Arjuna, so many different names, and Krishna also, Krishna, Madhava, Partha, all different sets of names, just to make it as interesting, or is there any particular meaning for each set of the names?
I think, sister, I think the names are very, very well chosen and used. See, most of these names were used by Veda Vyasa, because Arjuna and Krishna are supposed to have had a very short conversation. But when Veda Vyasa wrote, he put the appropriate names in the appropriate places to bring out certain truths, is what I understand. And those names also have a lot of meaning each time, and so we can just discuss the names themselves. Is my understanding. The way Arjuna was called, how Krishna called Arjuna, how Arjuna called Krishna. Yeah. Like Swami goes on in a couple of discourses, Swami has spoken about when Arjuna uses the word Keshava. I think it's maybe it may be coming up in a short while. What it means, why Arjuna called him Keshava, and that itself, Krishna decided he's ready now for me to teach him properly. So things like that. So I think I don't want to, when it comes up, I think we can discuss. But each of the name has certain significance.
Yeah, otherwise, even the author of this Bhagavad Gita, he would have just used for each character, he would the Vyasa Bhagavan would have used one name. Maybe each chapter he changes the name, but all of the names are very interesting and very thoughtful. That's why I thought there must be a reason why he has brought up so many names.
Okay, I think everyone can think about how do we deal with people who we respect, and what to do we do, and should we I think that's a thought for us to take home. We can continue our discussion from next week. It's okay. It's about 4:30. Okay, we can close now with Samastaloka unless someone has something urgent to share. Okay, Sai Ram. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.